Hello, and welcome to From Conflict to Commitment, Uncovering and Addressing Hidden Resistance. I'm Maya Townsend. Too often, employees learn that the politically safe choice or response is to agree with a change or decision, or even just to go along with the status quo, even when they don't agree with it. Their concerns go unspoken and prevent others from hearing information that could help get to a better decision. Many times, these unsurfaced concerns show up in small ways as resistance. Occasionally, these concerns become conflicts so large that they threaten to divide a team or undermine a project. In this session, we'll learn about the resistance line, which helps diagnose and address hidden resistance. The technique is an outgrowth of the deep democracy methodology, which was created by Myrna and Greg Lewis in South Africa after the fall of apartheid in order to help organizations recover from the legacy of racism. Today, we use the resistance line to help identify and alleviate tension before it develops into messy, full-blown, intractable conflict. To help me explain the resistance line, I'm joined today by Deep Democracy certified trainers Ipek Utan and Paul Horton. Before we bring in Ipek and Paul, let's start with a brief orientation to the resistance line. You can follow along on the handout that is there waiting for you. Now, we're going to start with the metaphor of an iceberg. And as you know, what we have with an iceberg is there's a bit above the surface that anybody can see. There's a whole lot underneath that we can't see. So in organizations, what we do is we call what we can see the conscious. So the group conscious, the organizational conscious. And this is all of the things that you can see, you can hear in a meeting. So if someone is presenting on a financial report, that's in the group consciousness. If someone asks a question about what happens on page 5, that's in the group consciousness. There's a lot also that is in the group unconscious. And this includes all the things that aren't said or aren't done in meetings, but people might be thinking about doing. Now, some of the stuff that's in the unconscious doesn't matter. So, right now there's a breeze coming in through the window. That's not really relevant to what we're doing. But if I really think that an error was made in that financial report on page 2 and I don't say something, but I really want to, but I'm afraid of saying it, that is an important part of the group unconscious. And why don't we say things like that? I mean, sometimes we worry about there'll be repercussions. We're worried about embarrassing ourselves. We think, oh, well, maybe they're just, they know something I don't know, and so I must be wrong. Or, you may be rushed and don't have time to get into it at that moment. So there's lots of reasons why people don't say things that really do need to be said and end up then bouncing around people's heads and causing problems. So once we don't say these things that need to be said and bring them into the group conscious, they go down on what we call the resistance line. And the resistance line goes from more covert behaviors to more overt behaviors. And these are clues that there's something going wrong within the group. There's something that's not being said that needs to be said. So let's start. The very first thing you often see on the resistance line is a joke. And sometimes jokes are just jokes, but sometimes what they do is they mean something a little bit more. So I might make a joke with a group and say, okay, I think we're ready to send this report to the boss. I mean, of course, she's going to change everything we just did, but we're ready to send it. Okay, it's a bit of a joke, but it's not really funny. And it also is signifying there's something else going on there. That takes us then to the next one on our resistance line, which is a joke, but it's got a little bit more teeth. And that is sarcasm or a sarcastic joke. So let's go to Ipek and Paul to see this in action.
Hey, Paul, did you see the new mail from HR about the new safety policies regarding COVID?
I did. That's a pretty long list of new stuff we were going to have to figure out how to do and fit into our schedules. And not to least is the washing the hands, how often and how we wash our hands. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that one. I mean, did she wash her hands right before sending this mail? I wondered.
So let's freeze that scene for a moment. Sarcasm often hides something going on underneath the surface. And we just heard some sarcasm from EPAC. So let's check in and see what was going on. Hey, EPAC, hi.
Hi.
Hi. I heard a bit of sarcasm there when you said, I wonder if she washed her hands before sending that mail. What was going on for you in that moment?
Oh, thanks for asking. Actually, yeah, there was something going on. I think it's a little bit too much. They are getting too much. It's a little bit intrusive. That's what it feels like. Are we like primary school children?
The sarcasm came out because it feels too much, too intrusive, that the company is overstepping a boundary by telling you when and how to wash your hands. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what I am thinking? I talk with lots of jokes and maybe it's just my way of saying, oh, I don't agree, but I'm not always aware of it. So this is interesting. Thank you.
Let's keep on moving down the resistance line. So then what often happens is we move up the resistance line. And the next piece on the resistance line is excuses. Now, this is a great place to catch resistance and intervene. And by excuses, I don't mean someone doesn't do something once. It's generally a pattern of not getting something done or making excuses. Because what we believe is that people are creative and resourceful, and they'll get things done if they want to. But if they're making repetitive excuses, there might be something going on under the waterline. So let's take a look at excuses in action.
Hey, Paul, do you think you can prepare that report we spoke in the meeting for this Friday?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
I got a lot on my plate, but I'll make sure I get that done.
Okay. Thank you. Very well appreciated. Hey, Paul, it's Friday. You said you were going to make the report ready today. Are you able to deliver it?
Sorry, Ipek, I'm not going to be able to get it in today. I got pulled on an entirely different project and I got behind on stuff. So I'm afraid not.
Oh, so can you make it ready by Monday?
I'll shoot for Monday, probably more like Tuesday.
Okay, but yeah. Okay, if you're saying Tuesday, it's really important for us. So are you able to do it for Tuesday?
Absolutely. Yep, I understand.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Hey, Paul, I haven't received the report from you and time is really ticking for us. Are you able to deliver it today?
I'm sorry, Ipek. There was a client emergency and it turns out I was the only one that could work this out with the client. And so I pretty much had to drop everything and focus on that all day Monday. So I'm afraid I wasn't able to do it. I'm not able to get it to you when I said I could.
Yeah. Actually, I heard about that emergency. I'm sorry about it. But it's really urgent for us too. How? Yeah, like when can you do it?
I'm going to get it to you. I'm going to try to put everything aside, focus on it. Wednesday afternoon, I'm going to get it to you no later than Thursday at 10. How's that? Is that going to work?
Okay. I trust you, Paul, this time. Hey, Paul. I think you know why I'm calling. It's Thursday already. We didn't have the report.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I just have to apologize again, Ipek. They were I got so far behind in the last few days, and I tried to focus on it all day Wednesday afternoon, and I just got so many little competing demands, and I finally finished it super late Wednesday night, and I was going to get up first thing in the morning and send it to you, but I haven't gotten to it. I need to just go over it one more time, and then I'll send it to you by noon today.
I I don't know what to say, Paul. It's really, really challenging for me. And I can't even be sure if you'll make it by noon today.
Yeah, I'm just doing my best here, IPAC. I'm sorry.
So let's pause the scene because what we've heard is a series of excuses from Paul. And it sounds like EPAC, although she's been very patient, is really losing faith in Paul. So at this point, rather than write him off, this is a good opportunity to find out what's happening underneath the waterline. So let's check in with Paul and find out. Hey, Paul.
Hey, Maya.
Hey. So you've been trying to get this summary report into EPAC. It hasn't been happening. And I'm wondering what is getting in the way. Is there something that EPAC is not aware of here?
Yeah, I guess just lately I've been feeling pulled in 100 different directions because even though I have a manager, but it seems like I actually have two managers, and these managers aren't communicating, and they're asking me for different things and different timelines, and I'm being pulled in 6 directions. And I've been trying to raise my hand and let them know this isn't working. It's not sustainable, and nobody's listening. I don't feel respected. And feels like I feel terrible because I'm not doing good work and I'm letting people down.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So, there's a lot here that by finding out, by asking what's actually happening, I can understand more completely what's happening with Paul, have a little bit of compassion for him, but it can also lead to a conversation around what can be done to actually make this better. Because it sounds like Paul is not having such a good time here. So how can we make this better for Paul and also make things better so that the deliverables can be done on time? So the next time you hear excuses, my invitation to you is don't write the person off as uncommitted, incompetent, or flaky. Instead, use it as an opportunity to inquire about what's going on underneath the waterline. Chances are there's something that you can't see or you don't know about that's getting in the way. So now let's move on to the next phase in the resistance line, and that is gossip. Now, everybody gossips sometimes. It can be a great way to just vent, let off a little steam, but sometimes gossip can be really harmful. It can be harmful when it's got a little bit of viciousness to it and it's designed to hurt. It can also be harmful when there's a meeting after the meeting. So you're not having the conversations you need to have or making the decisions you need to have as a group, but instead you're having little, side conversations offline and that are distracting from the work. So you all know what gossip looks like, but let's see what we can do about it. Let's go back to EPAC and Paul.
Hey, Beck, did you hear about Jerry, how he just got given the Apex client, even though our group was clearly the most, ready to go on this one and we're the most qualified for it?
Yeah, I heard he got the job, but I didn't know about the rest, that you were more qualified than he was. I didn't know about that piece.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard he has some kind of maybe a special relationship with the CEO, and that's why, he's given these plum jobs, even though other people are, better qualified for them.
Actually, yeah, I've seen them together. They were at lunch, so I don't know.
Yeah, my understanding is he doesn't even have qualifications for this. He doesn't even have a college degree. Stuff drives me crazy.
Oh no. Are you sure about that, Paul?
Well, I mean, that's what I heard. I don't know for sure.
If he is getting the job, then I would be curious, like maybe we can just ask for a meeting why this is done the way it's done, and learn what's really happening.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's freeze that scene there. So at the beginning, what we saw is EPAC, was part of the gossip and sharing some of what she saw. But then what she did is she changed the dynamic by recommending a meeting. And this is a great thing to do because often what happens with gossip is that we're not having the right conversations with the right people. We're taking the conversations offline. And as a result, they tend to escalate, they tend to become bigger, and we don't have a chance to really resolve it because we don't have the right people in the room to resolve it. So now let's move on further on up the resistance line. Okay, I'm now going to take you quickly through the next 4 pieces on the resistance line. Now, often what happens if change hasn't occurred already, if the sarcasm, the excuses, the gossip haven't caused there to be a shift in the organization, the next thing we often see is a communication breakdown. And you'll often see this when people refuse to talk to each other. So instead of setting up meetings with each other, they'll work through an assistant. They'll take the long way around the office building to avoid desk. They will put their Zoom camera on blank. They won't show their video when they're in a meeting. And so sometimes, of course, people do that for perfectly reasonable reasons. But sometimes what it means is there's a communication breakdown. People have stopped talking directly to each other. They're still doing their work, though. And the next step, what we see, is people change how they do their work. And what they start to do is go slow. And so they're doing the work. They're just doing it at a really slow pace. You can often see this in kids. You might ask your kid, hey, would you clean your room? And they'll say, yeah, I'll clean my room. But then they'll do it super slowly, one sock at a time. They're still complying, but there's some resistance in there. After go slow, the next thing that we tend to see is a strike. And this is where things start to become very overt. And people are no longer willing to gossip or make excuses. They're going to stand up and say, this is wrong, things need to change. So they'll take to their picket lines outside of the organization, or they'll stand up in a shareholder meeting or a stockholder meeting and voice their complaint. So they're being out about it. But what they're not yet doing is saying, I'm done with this organization. That happens in the very next step, which is withdrawal. And this is when people say, I've had it. I quit. I'm not going to be part of this team anymore. I'm not going to be part of this community of practice anymore. I am done. I have nothing left. And so what we want to do is we want to intervene here when we can still make a difference relatively easy. The further on down the resistance line we go, the harder and harder it becomes to intervene and make change. We've now covered the entire resistance line. Take a moment to pause this video and go to the link you see on your screen or scan the QR code in order to take a quick poll. It'll ask you, what resistance behaviors are you most likely to see in yourself? And then, what resistance behaviors are you most likely to see in others at work? After you're done, you'll be able to see how others have responded to these 2 questions. So pause now and then come back. Welcome back. During this video, we've shown that when we don't intervene, when we see simple behaviors like excuses and gossip and sarcasm, they can turn into more difficult to change behaviors like communication breakdowns, going slow and striking. My invitation for you is this. Start keeping an eye out for these more covert behaviors in your meetings, gossip, excuses, sarcasm, and intervene sooner rather than later. By doing so, you can prevent tension from blossoming into full-blown conflict. So thank you for taking this time with me today. If you want more information about deep democracy or a deeper dive into the resistance line, please reach out. Enjoy the conference.